Now, when you watch this film, I don't have a stage. I don't be on stage per se, so I tweak it, and I got little filters and stuff like that I throw in there to make it seem like I was at a bar and I was at the club. I was in front of, this place called the Comedy Den. Other things I did to be imaginative, and a place I call the Carol Lounge. I'm gonna talk about in a few minutes. So I wanted the film to seem like two things. If you watch it, you can watch it on any type of imaginative way you want to watch it. But I wanted to give it that, like, you're watching a something coming from this dude's imagination. Is he like not really a comic? Is he just a regular person who works a 9 to 5, and he just wanting to be a comedian because he's just funny? So he just having these daydreams, and just all this stuff is in his mind, which is in reality it is, because none of this stuff is true. But is this person just thinking this stuff up? And also, I want to give you a feel of watching a sitcom. You know what I'm saying? So that sitcom idea, I threw with the laugh tracks. So what I did, I tweaked it, and I used material of the concept of when the quarantine happened. I wanted to do stand up because everybody kept telling me and all that I should. So I'm like, you know what? Pandemic came up. I was like, I could do stand up, quarantine style. So I fixed my man cave up and everything like that. Made a little area for myself. Made a little, like a bar setting for myself and for my wife. And got my little table down there, and I put up my little albums, and my Eagles memorabilia, all that stuff. Make it like a little mini bar slash man cave. And I got the laugh track, and I did jokes, made it seem like the crowd was there with me. I used that concept for This Lonely Road. That's why, I used the Carol Lounge as the introduction to our started, and also the outro when you finally see me going ham on stage. Now, what is the Carol Lounge? It's another short film you need to check out. It's just a place that, after my last name, the Carol side of my family and my mom's side, I used that concept from the other film I did called The Carol Lounge, where I play, which is ironic, a heckler who goes on stage, and I'm heckling this comedian that you never see, but you hear him. And one of the comedians that's on stage, I play my uncle. You know what I'm saying? And the only people in my family would get the concept when they hear the person supposed to be on stage, they will understand why I did it the way I did and everything like that. But this is like a little inside thing that I did, and only, like I said, only certain people that know me, that know my family, and that know them personal would know why I probably did and made it into that. Even my cousin, shout out to my cousin, peace and one love to my cousin. Tata, that's his nickname. I don't want to give his government joint name, out like that. But because he don't like people when they do that, we all call him Tata. I put him in there. I act like he was the owner of the club, so you'll appreciate that, cuz the way I threw your name up in there. You know what I mean? Like, so even when I do the comedy joint at the end, there's a little subtle little stuff that you're gonna hear that I want to share with you now, and you'll understand why I did it if you really pick up on it. Um, my grandmother, I talked about her briefly in the movie. There's some truthness to that, which I'm gonna get into. A guy she used to mess with, his name was Do Rock. All my cousins that's a little younger than me, my younger cousins, a couple years younger than me, know who he was. My older cousins, of course, my moms and aunts know who Do Rock was. He was a person my grandmother used to mess with, who was a trash picker. And when I meant trash picker, he would go in the trash and look through people's trash in neighborhoods, and he would bring stuff to my grandmother's house and fix it. And he was known for fixing stuff, TVs and all different types of stuff, radios, and he was good with his hands. And they was together for a long time before he passed away. Now incorporate him in the crowd when when I'm supposed to be busting on somebody gums or something like that. You hear him say, "Vini, they talking about you, Vini." Like, it's kind of like, it's only certain, like I said, little stuff I put in there. All directors, we all do it. Little Easter eggs. Even in the beginning when I come out, I pretend to be. You hear little voices I put in the laugh. I put in the voices of. I threw it in there, voices of people that supposed to be in my family. So you hear like my little cousin. He ain't little now, but my cousin Hakeem, we all call him Keemy. You hear him in the background saying, "That's my cousin right there. That's my cousin." That's the way Keemy sound, y'all. I'm for real. Like, no offense, Keemy, if you're watching this video, I know you cracking the fuck up right now if you're watching this behind the scenes joint. My other cousins too, but everybody know that's how Keemy sound. So I have that voice of him. Supposed to be like family members who's not really there, but if they was, my mom's side of the family, I put them in there because it was called the Carol Lounge, so why not? You know what I'm saying? I just thought it was, like a play on the word of the club. And then also you hear like one of my aunts, one of my aunts, they always emphasize the fact that they nephews are nice looking, all of them, especially my Gloria and my Betty. So you hear like pretend one of them in the crowd. My Aunt Rose too, rest in peace to her. She used to always compliment her nephews, how all of us was, handsome. And you hear one of them, it don't matter which one it was, you hear them say, "Oh, my nephew's so handsome." You hear that? And also, I incorporate this little thing I do, where you see, well, not see, you hear this individual towards the end. His name was Sadiq. He used to work at a hotel. I used to work at, real short guy, shorter than me. He weighed like 100 pounds soak away. He was amateur wrestler, which I thought was hilarious. And I incorporate him in there. Only certain people will know this. Buddy I used to work with, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Female I used to work with, she knows exactly. A couple of people know exactly who Sadiq was. So I threw the thing about the Earth 2 head, because he used to have a big ass head, folks. If you ever watch Family Guy, that alien, you know what I'm saying, that used to live in the house with them or whatever, he kind of looked like that character. Yo, I ain't trying to I ain't trying to be cruel, but I'm just telling you like it is. So I incorporate that in the story, man. And had him in the crowd, so I pretend he's somewhere in the crowd. All this is in imagination, folks. Just to let you know, real crazy imaginative mind that I got, sharing with you why I did what I did. And like I said, I sprinkled in a lot of things that was true, which is kind of scary, because the more I was tweaking it and changing stuff around, is what you see is not the original version. It's a lot of things I changed around. I'm gonna talk about that too real soon. But everything that I did was for a reason, and I wanted to make it close to my life as real as possible, but also less. You know what I mean? So it was like kind of like balance. So the part of the alcoholic part was real, like, hit home, because mostly of my mom's side of the family, my grandmother, which I incorporate that in there. Rest in peace to her. Like I said, she was a pissy drunk. Come to your house, back in the day, my aunts and them, they used to have plastic. They would put on their furniture to keep it from getting messed up and keep it from getting damaged. That's what they did back in the day. And good thing they did it. For my grandmother used to come over and get pissy drunk and never went to the bathroom. She just peed right there with herself. Which is funny but embarrassing and crazy at the same time. And everybody never wanted her to come to the house because of that reason. And then I talk about my uncle on my dad's side, rest in peace to my uncle Paul. People that's watching this from the Smith side of my family know about Uncle Paul. They know he was a drinker. He was the one that got my dad. My dad don't drink no more, so he like a preacher boy now. And he stopped drinking for many years. Well, I think since I was born, he just went straight, healthy and on his healthy joint. And not even touch a touch of alcohol. So people that know my dad personally, I tell y'all that he used to drink, and he used to drink the 40s and drink heavily. Not to put his business out there, you know what I'm saying, but Everybody got their little deep secrets, and everybody got their little past. Not we all come from the dirt. That's why we do dirt. You know what I mean? But not to put his business out there, but his brother got him into the drinking and the wine and drinking the corn liquor and all that. Because that's what they used to do back in the in the '60s and all that stuff, man. And in the late '50s and the '60s, that's what they did. You know what I mean? That was like the common thing. They used to sit on the corner drinking, or they go somewhere in the cut drinking, or they go in the schoolyard on school time. How they did it. You seen the movies like Coolie High and all that shit. That was real shit right there, man. Most of the time it was the older brothers who got you into that, or your older uncles, that did that. So, I had to talk about that, incorporate that in there. So that was true. I went through a lot growing up since I was young. Like different, my mom and dad got divorced. That true. That's true. How it affected me. That part was true. Was the deep clouds of depression. I put that in the beginning of the film, which was true as well. How I was dealing with the divorce. So all of that is real, like true shit, man. But it didn't go to the life of crime. It just went another route. So being a class clown and acting up in school just to get attention, I incorporate that a little bit in there, and it ain't get me, in trouble. I got out of that real quick when I got left back in eighth grade, but that's a whole different story that I ain't gonna really get into too much. So I twist the story around for y'all and that y'all know went a wrong route, went a real bad route. Get back to the alcohol and drugs and back into the comedy part. I wanted to show how drugs affected many comedians growing up. That's not here with us. Some great ones, man. Like I said, Robert Williams is one. Chris Farley was another one. The dude from Black Sheep, the heavyset dude. You know, one of the Belushi brothers. Like, there was a lot of them that went towards that life, man. That's not here a lot. And I wanted to incorporate that, but I didn't want to incorporate it in me for as the drug part. So I used the alcohol part because that's part of my DNA anyway. So I wanted to use the drug part connected to a friend and how it affect a lot of comedians and stand-up comics. So I had a make-believe friend I made up, and this was like tweaked in there as well. And I wanted to show this made-up friend that I never really mentioned. I saw a silhouette of him, and I just had an opportunity to use an apartment that's been being worked on somewhere. I can't tell you where at. I'm just gonna keep that. Directors can't share all these secrets, folks. It's like we magicians. Certain things we just can't share. I'm just gonna keep that apartment that I use, as a place of like a crack house, and that was perfect. Not where I was living at personally, somebody that I knew that was living there. It was just an opportunity that I had and a chance to be able to be in that building. And I incorporated that building. I thought to myself, how could I incorporate this? What a real crackhead. You know what I'm saying? I look like a crackhead house. So let me make up the story of a friend of mine that used to be a fellow comedian that went towards that dark side. What I leave as a mystery of you don't know what happened to him. And then 9 times out of 10, we all know this character most likely probably died of an overdose or something. So I leave it up to the audience for that part right there. I leave it up to the audience for that. I want to also talk about the character that Cav played. Cav played this character, my friend Cav, he did a lot of stuff with me, man. My partner in crime. One love to you, good brother. He does a lot of my artwork. Real good artist, man. We met at a hotel not that long ago, a couple like years ago, not that long ago. Became good friends. He does a lot of my artwork. He went to school for art.